G'day. In my lifetime, I've had much experience with getting needles, and especially this year I've been had 3 lots of surgery, all due to the gallbladder and gallstones. But I wanted to tell you, because I know this is a concern for a lot of people, the fear of needles, even for blood tests. Now, I used to be the same. I always used to hate needles. My mum was the same. And I know many people that freak out about it. But I want to assure you and give you a couple of tips how you can get through those sort of things without any problems. This was told to me by one of the nurses. Now, every state and country probably has their own private blood-taking places. These places are usually at a doctor's surgery or medical centre. And this is what a nurse told me a few years ago, and I've followed it ever since, and it really does help. So first of all, unless of course you're in hospital and nil by mouth for some reason for some upcoming surgery, my tips to you are as follows. Passing on what she told me, drink plenty of water before you go down to give you or get blood taken. Plenty of water. That keeps your veins nice and, well, good. Let me give you an example here. And it's a rough example because I don't have any transparent pipe this size. Now, veins and arteries, basically, if you looked really close, are like tubes or hoses. In this case, this is an automotive hose, but that's not relevant right now. So imagine you're looking at it real close. All that's going to happen, there's your vein where they take, and they'll say to you which hand you predominantly use. I'm right-handed, so I say to them, I'll take it out the left there, because this one I use for mousing and things and editing. So, yeah. So there's your vein. They come along. Say this was the tip of the needle. Obviously, we won't be bent. All you're doing, get it into perspective, they're just tapping into that a little bit and taking a blood sample out. Like, you don't have to look at it or anything. Now, the thing is, people say, oh, they imagine like a sharp pin being stuck in there. It's not like that. If you look very closely at the tip of a syringe, it's angled and extremely sharp. Therefore, you don't feel much anything. So honestly, it's more of a psychological barrier that most people build up this fear of needles. The other tip she told me too, especially if it's in cooler weather, make sure you keep the arms covered, like with a jumper, or whatever you call it, pullover. Keep your arms nice and warm. That helps as well. Now, all but one time, in all the years I've gone to my local place to give blood tests or whatever, I've virtually not felt it, and even have not felt it at all. And they always, even in hospitals, they do this when they're going to take blood, or maybe give you a cannula. This is what a cannula is, by the way. This is a mock one. It's basically a real one, but that's just plastic. This is one I brought home once when I was doing some university teaching and as a simulated patient. And of course, they're not going to stick anything invasive in you, so they just taped it up. But that is basically what a cannula looks like. So they stick these in if you need IV fluid, drips, or before an operation. Normally they'll stick them in the back of your hand, which is not my favourite place. Sometimes they'll stick them in there in the same place you'll get the needle. Okay, but basically it's the same exact thing. They're just putting it into the vein like that. And once it's in, you do not feel it. I mean, obviously you try and not accidentally knock it or anything, but it's taped down, it's secure. You don't even know it's there. Anyway, what they always seem to do, and I have a laugh at this, is they, just before, they'll prep it, they'll rub it with a bit of alcohol to sterilise the area before they give you the needle. And they'll usually either say, oh, just a sharp scratch, or just a bit of a scratch, or some even say, just a bit of a sting. Now, I've never ever felt anything like a sting. Okay, it's not like a bee sting at all. And when they say a scratch, I go, you may as well just tell the truth, build it up like bigger than it's going to be and say, this is going to hurt like crazy. So that when it happens, you go, oh, is that all? And that's the reality. It's nothing. You know, you don't feel it, or if you do, it's nothing. It's not even sharp. It's just done. And I know people work themselves into a frenzy. I used to put off blood tests. It's like, oh no, you know, well, I hate needles. Now I'm just, look, I don't care. I just, okay, have a needle, whatever. If you have a fasting blood test, if they're going to check for certain things in your blood, then obviously, yeah, I find it's better, say you can't drink or eat anything from midnight. I find it's better to go there like 7 a.m. when most of them open, be there, get in, get the blood taken, and then have a coffee. You know, go home, have a coffee, and eat. So, yeah, it's no big deal. It honestly isn't. People get themselves worked up over nothing. It's like most things in life. You know, if you're that way inclined, you always think the worst case scenario, no matter what the topic. You think, oh, you know, well, what if that happens or this happens? And I guarantee you, almost never does that worst case scenario happen. Afterwards, you always find, oh, okay, well, that wasn't so bad after all. And that's just the same with needles. It honestly is. When you're getting a shot for whatever, you know, if you need an inoculation or whatever, that's usually intramuscular. So that will go into a muscle. That's different. It doesn't go into a vein or artery. I don't recall any of them I've had in my life hurting. I mean, yeah, it's no big deal. It's over and done with. You forget about it soon. So the other trick, of course, that the nurse will tell you, once she's taken the needle out, she'll put a little bit of cotton wool ball on the spot. She'll say, just hold that down. So you just press firmly for a minute there. That's just to stop the blood pooling underneath the skin and end up with a bruise. Quite simple. And look, above all else, blood tests, which is what this video is primarily about, are very important. I get one twice a year, sometimes more often in recent times, just to check my levels are good. But personally, I highly recommend that all of you get a blood test at least once a year. That way the doctor can keep track of, like, oh no, everything's fine, or if there's a slight anomaly with one aspect, like, oh, okay, we'll look into that. Blood tests can tell you an awful lot of what's going on. So they are very important. They don't hurt. And it's as simple as that. And the more you panic and get anxious about it and, you know, start shaking, oh, that's not going to work. Just relax. It doesn't hurt. Trust me. Okay, I hope that's helped some people. Just imparting, as usual, what I know from experience and the little tips that the nurse gave me, which has really helped, because I have no problems with them. So until next time, once again, cheers, and I'll see you soon. Bye.